the Masters, WrestleMania, and the first scrimmage of the spring for Alabama football. We're back, locked, loaded, live. New week, new edition of In My Own Words, the podcast, Touchdown Alabama magazine, Stephen M. Smith. And before we get into recapping the scrimmage, some news, notes, information going on around the program as 6 Alabama assistant coaches got paid this week. 6 assistant coaches got contracts approved by the University of Alabama Board of Trustees. And to start this off, we have Craig Kulagowski, who's serving as the defensive line coach and associate head coach. He is set to pocket $750,000. Kulagowski, longtime assistant at Missouri. The last 2 years was at the University of Miami down in Florida. Behind him, we have Pete Golding, co-defensive coordinator and inside linebackers coach, will make $650,000. Pete Golding, prior to Alabama, was a defensive assistant at University of Texas San Antonio. Also spent time at University of Southern Miss, Southeastern Louisiana, Delta State. So he's had his coaching rounds before coming to Alabama. Behind him, we have Josh Gaddis, who is the co-offensive coordinator and wide receivers coach. He will make $525,000. Gaddis, before Alabama, was the passing game coordinator and wide receivers coach at Penn State. Before then, the wide receivers coach at the University of Vanderbilt. Behind him, we've got Carl Scott, who will serve as a secondary coach. He will make $350,000 a year. Carl Scott, before Alabama, was at Texas Tech as the defensive backs coach. Behind him, we've got Jeff Banks, who serves as special teams coach and tight ends coach, will pocket $270,000. Prior to Alabama, was at Texas A&M as the special teams coach and tight ends coach. And rounding out this list, we've got the man Dan Enos, who will be the quarterbacks coach and associate head coach for the Crimson Tide. He will make $200,000. Prior to Alabama, he was initially hired to be the wide receivers coach at Michigan, but Nick Saban poaching Dan Enos away from Jim Harbaugh. Prior to the Michigan debacle, Enos was at Arkansas as the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. He also spent time at Central Michigan from 2010 to 2014 as the head coach for the Chippewas. So congratulations to the 6 assistant coaches that got paid this week, got contracts approved by the University of Alabama Board of Trustees. Now, for Tosh Lapoy, who's the defensive coordinator and outside linebackers coach, and Michael Loxley, who's the offensive coordinator, those 2 contracts have not been discussed yet. They have not been approved yet. But when the information comes, I will share that with you. But jumping into recapping Alabama's scrimmage over the weekend, of course, the media not allowed to cover the entire scrimmage. We're able to go in and get 5 to 10 minutes of warm-ups, drills, things of that nature. But what I heard from sources, credible people around me, the defense really did some good things in the scrimmage. Raekwon Davis is a beast. He was out there creating havoc, getting tackles for loss, pressuring the quarterback, really looked good out there at his defensive end position. Davis at 6'8", 306 pounds, coming into his junior year. This is a draft year for him. This is a money-making year for him. A lot of the NFL scouts, a lot of the draft analysts, the Mike Mayocks, the Bucky Brooks, the Todd McShays, the Mel Kiper Jr.'s are going to have him very high on draft boards, seeing how he projects and what his potential is. This is the same Raekwon Davis that led the team in sacks last season with 6.5, if I'm not mistaken, was very high in that tackle for loss category and the quarterback hurries category. So Raekwon Davis, beast in the first scrimmage, looking to see more from him as Alabama continues with spring ball. Quinnen Williams, Alabama experimenting with him at that defensive tackle position, trying to see if he can be the one that takes over for Daron Payne. I mentioned in a previous podcast, to me, it's a six-man battle for that defensive tackle spot with Johnny Dwight, Fadarian Mathis, Stephon Wynn, Christian Barmore. Wynn and Barmore, both freshmen. And then you have Quinnen Williams, Tavita Masika. But how Quinnen Williams was able to play in the scrimmage and how they're working the 6'4", 289-pounder in, if he continues to impress, he would be the ideal guy to play at that defensive tackle spot, seeing how when he came in, a lot of people were comparing him to Jonathan Allen. Quinnen Williams, Raekwon Davis, saw a lot of good things from those guys. Shake up on the offensive line, and I saw this in warm-ups. Now, in the first 3 weeks leading up to the scrimmage from left to right, you saw Jonah Williams, Josh Casher, Ross Pierschbaker, Nestor Cotton, and Jedrick Wills. That was the lineup from left to right on the offensive line the first 3 weeks of spring practice leading into the scrimmage over the weekend. But at the scrimmage, the front line, bit of a shakeup. Jonah Williams remained at left tackle. Nestor Cotton was at left guard. Ross Pierschbaker remained at center. Jedrick Wills slid in from right tackle to right guard, and Alex Leatherwood was at right tackle. Now that roster holds up with Jonah Williams, Nestor Cotton, Ross Pierschbaker, Jedrick Wills, and Alex Leatherwood. Your right side now becomes your power side, especially with your two talented sophomores in Wills and Leatherwood. Both guys hungry, both guys physical, both guys really dynamic, and the coaching staff very high on both of those guys. Flipping this now to the defensive secondary, heard some good things about Savion Smith in the scrimmage. Smith at 6'1", 198 pounds, the JUCO corner from Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College. Prior to that, spent some time with LSU. Savion Smith, big guy, rangy guy, physical corner. Now, he's looking to knock down one of the two spots at that corner position. Nick Saban, Alabama, has had a lot of success with taking JUCO guys, plugging them and playing them because they have experience, because they have the wherewithal of what they need to do, where they need to be, how they need to react. They just haven't been able to do it at a big D1 program. Now Savion Smith has his chance to do that at Alabama, but hearing some good things from him. Daniel Wright. Talked to some people about Daniel Wright. This guy looks smooth. This guy looked comfortable in the scrimmage. He's looked comfortable all throughout spring. Made some huge tackles over the weekend. Was able to break up some passes, read plays, dissect plays. And with him being from Boyd Anderson High School, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 6'1", he's closing in on that 200-pound mark here. Daniel Wright, to me, I would love to see him at safety next to Deontay Thompson, but with Xavier McKinney honing in on that spot, Daniel Wright more so will fit that dime role as that sixth defensive back, that dime backer in that package. And he can play the boundary, can hit. When he hits, it's like Reuben Foster and Ronnie Harrison. Can cover, can take the angle away, can high point the football. The guy's a baller. Guy's an absolute gamer. And with Minkah Fitzpatrick playing that dime spot at 6'1", 203, I would have no problem seeing Wright playing that dime package, but heard some good things from him. And Shaheem Carter, the product of Kentwood, Louisiana, came into that 2016 class. And Shaheem Carter, according to Nick Saban, taking on a leadership role, calling out the defenses, getting guys in order, getting guys set. And though Tony Brown, the emotional leader this past season, Shaheem Carter, the better system fit. Very excited to see him. Nick Saban saying some positive things about the kicking game. Joseph Alovis, pride of Manville, Louisiana, former #1 rated kicker according to Rivals.com, made 4 of 5 field goals in tough, wet slippery, cold, chilly conditions. Can he continue to keep that up? And a lot of the kicks he made between 35 and 45 yards, that is a good sign for the Tide. Big ups to Joseph Valovis. But as always, the main point of emphasis, the quarterback conversation between Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa. Tua still limited in practice, 15 to 20 snaps in the scrimmage. Did pretty well. Had a touchdown pass to Devonta Smith. Jalen Hurts had 2 touchdown tosses in the game. Had a nice little big yardage run in there also. Nick Saban knows what he has in both quarterbacks. Is going to play up this 2-quarterback thing until the season takes place. Both guys hungry, both guys pushing each other. Mac Jones even in the mix doing some good things. Whomever wins this job, you are going to get the brightest, sharpest, most prepared quarterback ready for the season. I've gotten the chance to talk to some parents of players over the weekend, and they just don't understand all the negative being thrown at Jalen. Now, I get it. When you compliment Tua, you're not bashing Jalen. When you're complimenting Jalen, you're not bashing Tua. But when a lot of these parents read social media and they see where some fans, and not all fans, but some fans put up, Jalen sucks, he's not an NFL quarterback, we've seen this for 2 years, he can't throw, he ain't accurate, he can't do this, he can't do that, it's a no-brainer, Tua should be the guy. Why are we even talking about a battle? Did you see what Tua did in the championship game? He won us the game. Our defense has carried us the last 2 years. What has Jalen actually done? And parents of these players get very upset because they're telling me, Steven, I don't get it. If not for Jalen, Alabama's not in 2 national championship games. If not for Jalen, Alabama doesn't sniff for 2 title games. Jalen's touchdown to interception ratio is clean. It's 40 touchdown passes to only 10 picks. For every 4 touchdown passes, he's throwing just 1 pick. That's efficient. That's effective. You have NFL quarterbacks that aren't putting up those types of numbers. With Jalen, he gives you that running ability. He can throw the ball good. He can throw the ball pretty well. I understand he's got some flaws, but so does a lot of people. I hear a lot of parents that tell me, Jalen and Tua, great for the program, great for the organization, great for the team, great for the fans. They're 2 upstanding young men, outstanding individuals. I don't see why all the negative is being thrown at Jalen. I mean, it's just silly. You put Jalen on any other team, he's a big-time stud. He's well received. There's no negative. He's a big-time playmaker. Well, Alabama should just be happy to have both guys. That's what I hear from parents. And my response to them, yep, amen, yep, preaching to the choir, I feel you. Jalen Hurts, you don't reach 2 national championship games without Jalen Hurts. And what's funny is he's 1 defensive stop away from this not even being a conversation, from all of us being hogwash. The defense hits Deshaun Watson 1 good time, 1 more good time. In the 2017 title game off a 2016 season, you get 1 defensive stop, you get 1 turnover, you create 1 big play on defense. Jalen Hurts is a national championship starting quarterback. He's a national championship starting quarterback because when you needed a big play in that game, he provided. The biggest thing with Jalen, he does not make a lot of mistakes with the football. Last season, 17 touchdowns to just 1 interception. And I think this year, he's going to take more chances throwing the football. But keep in mind, you're not in 2 national championship games without Jalen Hurts. I mentioned in a previous podcast, the guy is not an overall terrible passer. I kind of equate Jalen Hurts with the children of Israel and Moses, in a sense where Moses had to constantly remind the children of Israel everything that God's done, right? From parting the Red Sea to raining manna down from heaven, Moses has to constantly remind the children of Israel, hey, God got us through. We were about to die. We were about to starve to death. We were about to go under, but God got us through. You have to constantly remind Alabama fans, Jalen Hurts, 2016, to start the season, Blake Barnett, deer in the headlights, couldn't move the ball, couldn't do it. Jalen goes in there. Yes, he has the fumble. Yes, he has the interception, but he comes out with 4 touchdowns total against USC. Against Ole Miss, yes, Eddie Jackson had the punt return touchdown. Yes, your defense made plays, but it all started off with Jalen Hurts, 8-play, 50-yard drive to get you back in the game. Against LSU, it was a stalemate, 0-0. Jalen Hurts, 20 carries, 114 yards, including a huge 21-yard touchdown run in the fourth quarter, the lone touchdown of the game. And then against Clemson, when you needed it, you're down 28-24, fourth quarter, number 2, Houston, Texas, rumbling, bumbling, down the field, 30-yard touchdown run when you needed it. People forget those moments, man. People forget those. This past season, against Mississippi State, when you needed a big play with his arm, finds Devonta Smith, 26-yard touchdown, was 3 of 4 on that final drive for 72 yards with that touchdown, helping you win 31-24. In a game where your defense injured, your defense banged up. A lot of times, the last 2 years, Alabama defense couldn't do anything, and it took Jalen Hurts to get you through. You needed him. You needed his calm, cool, composed demeanor. Yes, he's got some things he's working on right now in spring ball, and he's getting those things worked on. But don't think for a second that you don't need Jalen Hurts. Don't think for a second that Nick Saban doesn't need Jalen Hurts. There are some qualities in this young man that Nick Saban still highly, highly values. I equate Jalen Hurts to Patrick Ewing. A lot of people say Patrick Ewing couldn't get it done in New York. Never won the big one. Couldn't get the job done. Never came up in crunch time. The New York Knicks would have never been in crunch time if not for Patrick Ewing. The New York Knicks would have never made playoff runs without Patrick Ewing. They needed him. And for all of his talk about Jalen Hurts not an NFL quarterback, there are a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL that never had great arms, that never had great stats, but still were Super Bowl championship quarterbacks. For example, look at Trent Dilfer. Trent Dilfer, who came into the league in 1994, started his career off with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In 2000, he was with the Baltimore Ravens. That 2000s team that defeated the Giants to win the Super Bowl. Trent Dilfer that season completed just 59.3% of his passes. The last 2 years, Jalen Hurts is completing at least 60 to over 60%. Trent Dilfer, 59.3%. For 1,502 yards. That season, Trent Dilfer did not even eclipse 2,000 yards throwing the football. In 2 years of Jalen Hurts, both seasons, he's at least eclipsed 2,000 yards passing. Trent Dilfer, 12 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Horrible touchdown to interception ratio. Yet, Trent Dilfer in the NFL. That season, Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. Won a Super Bowl. He never had a completion percentage at least 60%, but yet won a Super Bowl. Trent Dilfer was an NFL quarterback. You look at Tom Brady, and I get it. Tom Brady, 5-time Super Bowl champion. In college, had to beat out 5 different quarterbacks at Michigan. 5-time Super Bowl champion, Tom Brady. But if you looked at his NFL draft or NFL combine sheet, what was said about Tom Brady, according to quarterback guru Steve Mariucci, was he has a decent arm, but other guys can zip it. Lacks physical toughness and lacks ability to avoid the rush, lacks mobility, system quarterback, doesn't have a strong arm. All of these things were said about Tom Brady. He couldn't do it. He's not prepared. And Brady, to this point, is a 5-time Super Bowl winning quarterback and a first ballot Hall of Famer upon the end of when his career will be done. It's Tom Brady. But you look at guys like Eli Manning, of whom, Eli Manning, 2007, the first Super Bowl season for him with the Giants, completed 56.1% of his passes. Not great. Had 23 touchdowns to 20 interceptions. Not a clean ratio, but still won a Super Bowl. Still in the National Football League. People consider Eli Manning as elite, and Eli Manning is probably the only quarterback, matter of fact, he is the only quarterback that has made Tom Brady look human twice in a Super Bowl. Beat him twice in a Super Bowl. In that 2007 season, Manning's numbers weren't overall fantastic. You even look at a guy like Blake Bortles. His first 3 seasons in the league, now of course he enters his 5th season in the fall, but his first 3 seasons coming out of Central Florida, Blake Bortles completing 58.8%. He's not at 60%. That's not really good at all. His touchdown to interception ratio, 69-51, does throw a lot of picks. His quarterback rating, the first 3 seasons, 40.4. A horrific QBR. This past year, he was able to improve, help get his team to the playoffs, help the Jacksonville Jaguars finally make a playoff appearance, and that parlayed into him getting a 3-year, $54 million extension with $26.5 million of that guaranteed. But Blake Bortles isn't the best of quarterbacks, but guess what? He's in the NFL. He's making money. He took that team to the postseason. I mean, Eli Manning's career completion percentage is 59.8%, barely at 60. 2 years as a college quarterback, Jalen Hurts is completing over 60. There is hope for this man in the National Football League, just saying. A lot of quarterbacks in the NFL right now that's making big-time money don't have the touchdown to interception ratio that Jalen Hurts has, doesn't have the completion percentage that Jalen Hurts has, doesn't have the playmaking ability that Jalen Hurts has. Do not write this man off as an NFL quarterback, potentially, and as the quarterback to start at Alabama this season. Now, what you should fear is not putting all of his pressure on Tua Tagovailoa. That's what you should fear. Because when that happens, you get a scenario that one Big Ten team faced in 2014. That Big Ten program, the Ohio State Buckeyes, under Urban Meyer. Remember in 2014 when Ohio State ended the season with 3 quarterbacks? You had Braxton Miller, J.T. Barrett, who had been at Ohio State since George H.W. Bush, and Cardale Jones. Braxton Miller got hurt before the season even started, so J.T. Barrett took that team through 10 games, and then he gets hurt in the game against Michigan, and then the 3rd-string quarterback, Cardale Jones, took that team to the Big Ten title game, defeated Wisconsin 59-0, defeated Alabama 42-35 in the college football playoff semifinal, and defeated Oregon, if I'm not mistaken, in the national championship game to win the first ever college football playoff national title. During that season, Cardale Jones, 56 completions on 92 attempts, that's 60.9 completion percentage, for 860 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. After that season, Cardale Jones was given a 3rd-round draft grade. Remember, helped that team beat Wisconsin, Big Ten title game, helped Ohio State beat Alabama, Sugar Bowl, helped Ohio State beat Oregon for the national championship. That man received a third-round draft grade. Everybody was telling him, he can go over draft right now. He can go over draft right now. How can you play him? You have no film on him. He's 6'6", 260, big, physical, can throw, can run. Oh my gosh. No film, no time to study, no time to plan for him. You got to play him on the fly. It's impossible. Received a third-round draft grade. What did Cardale Jones do? He comes back to Ohio State, and the next year, with all the pressure on him, with everybody talking about him, with everybody saying there's no way JT Barrett has this job, there's no way Braxton Miller has this job. You saw what Cardale Jones did in 3 games? Put the team on his back and won a national championship? There's no way, JT Barrett. There's no way. It's Cardale Jones. No way, Braxton Miller. It's Cardale time. Cardale Jones. The same way Alabama doing for Tua Tagovailoa right now, there's no way Jalen Hurts wins this job. There's no way. You saw how Tua performed. All I needed was that one half against Georgia. I'm hooked, line, sinker, centered on Tua. There's no way Jalen gets this job. That's the same way Buckeye fans were reacting about Cardale Jones. What happened? Started 10 games in 2015, and that man struggled. Only had 1,460 passing yards. That man struggled. Had 8 touchdowns to 5 picks. And that man's draft stock went from 3rd round to 5th, 6th round. Lost money. Lost money. He went from being a solid day 2 pick to a day 3 pick in 1 year. Went from 3rd round to 5th, 6th round. Why? You may ask. Why? Because all the pressure was on him. All the pressure. Everybody was hyping up Cardale Jones. Didn't pump the brakes in time. He bought into all that hype, and he struggled. You look at Tua Tagovailoa, I'm not saying Tua will be the next Cardale Jones. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying pump the brakes. This is the same situation. Tua comes in, meaningful game in the second half of a national championship against Georgia. Dogs didn't know how to plan for him. Team didn't know how to take him. Tua comes in there, shines, wins the game. Meaningful moment in the second half of a national championship. Cardale Jones, same deal. No one knew how to plan for Cardale Jones. Came in against Wisconsin, back part of the season. Started that game, started the Sugar Bowl, started the national championship. In 3 games, built up a 3rd round draft grade. All that pressure was put up on him. What happened to him the following season? He cracked. Pump the brakes on Tua. He's good. He's good. But Jalen's not backing down. And Nick Saban is going to let these two battle out to see what happens, what takes place. Like I said, whoever wins this job, you're going to get a very, very, very prepared quarterback. But do not count out, write off Jalen Hurts. This junior year can be very, very special for him. We take a break here on In My Own Words. When we get back, we dive into Dylan Moses and Mack Wilson. This could be the most talented 1-2 punch at linebacker since Donta Hightower and Courtney Upshaw. Why do I believe that? Check it out on the other side of the break. We'll be right back. It's your boy, Stephen M. Smith, host of In My Own Words, the podcast. If you are a fan of this show, then I encourage you to subscribe to the Touchdown Alabama Magazine YouTube channel. Also follow the brand on Facebook, Twitter, and other forms of social media as we continue to bring you the best in Alabama football and Crimson Tide athletics.